So I'm actually going to go ahead and just trying to give you some voice background about this particular video and some of the stories that went behind it. It's I composed this quite some time ago, and maybe a couple of years ago, I would think. And this was one of the first like fully edited video that not only was it a fully edited video that I uploaded, but it was also one of the first productions that I kind of did like through a proper studio. There was this place when I was living in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. There was actually a little private studio there, and there the person would record songs and do those sort of things. So the purpose here was really to just I had a composition in mind. I wanted to get it out, and so once I got the idea, I had a piano. I put it on the piano, composed it, and then I went to the studio, and then we went ahead and recorded it. Now I don't consider myself a vocalist, but in this case I decided, you know what, because it's not like I'm going to hire someone to record the vocals. I decided that I'll just go ahead and do the vocals myself. But that was that. So I mean, I don't consider myself a professional in any way, and the intent here was not to like have like millions and millions of views and things like that. But what I did want to do was sort of illustrate, or at least communicate something through the song, and that was the purpose. So let me just go ahead and play this. So I'm going to go ahead and play just so that you understand what it starts off like. It's got a little bit of that 80s vibe, synth. And then I'll tell you what the lyrics actually mean and how I tried to visualize them. I know I'm putting my phone in front of a screen, but that's okay. We're going to be seeing so I've used some images here of clouds and things like that. It's supposed to set the tone for what we want to get from the song. So it starts off with Cloudless Night and Desert Storms, really just trying to explain the struggles and perhaps the sort of stress and the tension a person goes through. It could be calm, it could be stress, but through it all, through all those moments. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that you're a lonely person through all you walked in, but actually it's just around the fact that each journey is really of the individual, and whether you're alone or with someone, you are the person who's walking that journey. A good one or a bad moment, whatever it is. At the end of the day, it's you making your way through those elements yourself. Again, I'm not trying to stress on anything that you're a lonely person or anything like that. You could be with 100 people. The fact is, each journey you walk is really your own, and that you are going to go through them on your own. I'm just trying to illustrate some of the storms and things. Now, obviously, I've got Street Fighter there, and I don't want to commercialize off that. But the point there was really relying on your own strength and the courage that beats in your own heart. So really, I'm talking about depending on yourself, or even when you lift yourself up, whether it is through motivation, through self, or somebody else motivating you, it's you who yourself raise up to face the challenge. You make your move, and bated breath. A little bit of drama there. Now this could be philosophical right there. But when it comes to facing the challenge, you're really going to have to do it yourself, right? With or without the help of anyone, you need to take those steps to overcome those challenges. And this is why I'm trying to show all these storms and these really like powerful storms. Now, by the way, that's Saint Seiya, one of my most favorite anime shows. Just trying to visualize what I'm trying to say, that although you fell, you raised yourself. Now, rising up is never going to be easy in some cases, right? And you're always going to be reluctant and resistant, but you have no choice. You have to get up, right? You can't stay down for the rest of your life or for the rest of that moment. So even when you do rise up, you do it with the burden that bears on your heart. Yeah. A life is hanging on the edge of the thread. That can be a little bit dramatic. Obviously, it doesn't necessarily mean that. Well, it depends on the situation, but rarely in life would life hang on the edge of the. But the point being that the stakes are so high that now is the time to rise and face that challenge. Otherwise, it's too much at stake. And then we got some trumpets playing over there as a form of an anthem. One more time, you decide to muster the strength of your will. Now, this strength is interesting because this is not necessarily the physical strength, but this is actually the strength that you gain from your will, the conviction, the determination that really comes from inside. It's not coming from anywhere else. This world owes you nothing at all. Really, I'm just trying to say here that, you might be looking here and there for help, for assistance, and some you might get it, you might not. But at the end of the day, it's really up to you. It's really your choice, your decision to face that challenge. And, the world be wherever it may be, you need to take that challenge. So I'm going to go back a couple of seconds here. Just bear with me, please, because I really want you to understand the sentiment that is over here. This is supposed to entice some hope. And I've tried to use some heavy drums over there to really illustrate the impact. And this could be whatever you want it to be. It's really going sort of rising up, and then it settles. Now, philosophical, but there's a little bit more to it. When one deep breath, you rest your head. You may have put in all the efforts that you could have, that you thought you would. You may have done all that additional effort, and despite all that, you may have still failed. So with one deep breath, you rest your head and witness the failures abound. So you look around, you did your best, you tried really hard, and even with all the best effort that you could, you're still seeing failure around you. All right. The point of this was never about necessarily overcoming the failure. I mean, that's always ideal. But really what you're doing is that did you or did you not stand up to it? Did you at least try? That is the real context over here. So, okay. You lay with the dust on the ground is because you've tried, you failed, you tried again, you failed. Now you're so spent, you're so down, the dust is on your face, or whatever philosophical you can think of. A restless light on its final night, and the beacon soars through the sky. So a restless night, if you didn't figure it out, does represent the soul. A restless light on its final night. So basically suggesting that is in fact the end. But it's not really at the end, because and the beacon soars through the skies because now you're elevating, now you're moving on to the next stage. The horns will blow for the fallen souls, the place where the heroes reside. Place where the heroes reside, which is actually the title of the song. So after all that, finally the heroes reside. Now, the piano is something I've always liked. I've played it since I was a very young child, and I've always liked the sound of the notes, especially some of the higher ones. So I figured that after you're holding your breath for such a long time and you're finally exhaling, you're taking, that stress is being relieved, and it's all just going away now, that the piano will signal the final sort of resting, or maybe the final relief, and that is the calmness that the piano does communicate. So I'm going to go back to the beginning, and now if you look at it from here, it'll all come into context now. Again, bear with me, I might be showing you I'm just putting my phone in front of a camera, but I'm going to try to illustrate. So it starts off with this darkness, right? Storms brewing, things like that. Cloudless night, so it's calm. Or it could be stressful. At the end of the journey is yours. This is the time when difficulties come and you make your way on it. It's not easy, it's never, it's tough. Just the strength. I try to use anime to illustrate the sentiment. Yep. You dive the depths of the dark. All comes down to the individual. You, not about loneliness, but at the end of the day, you do everything and you are on that path on your own. See, although you fell, you raised yourself. That's kind of cool, actually, and this is a reason why I threw that in there. That there's certain elements that that really sort of touch base with a lot of people. Although you fell, you raised yourself. Although you fell on anything, whether it is studies, work, relationships, tasks, assignments, something, a project that you were doing. You failed at it, but you raised yourself again. And every time you raise, once they say you fall so that you learn how to raise yourself up, but with every rise that you do, there is a burden that comes with it. This is being a little dramatic. I mean, it all depends really on the situation. How often does a life hang on the edge? Motivational, I suppose, for sure, because when you set your mind, so you really have to set those priorities again, and that could be sometimes super difficult, because when you're faced with so much trauma or trouble or hurdles or challenges, the most common thing that a person would react with is with confusion or depression. But you kind of have to recalibrate yourself, which can be very difficult. And reset, and then of course try to reach the objective. Now you can always go to my channel to find the song, and then you won't have to listen to me blabber throughout this. You could be very annoying. I'm sorry, it does get a little annoying, but just trying to provide some additional context to the lyrics that are part of the song, and hopefully that will explain why it is the way it is. But I'm sure you guys are smart, you'll figure it out. This part I found to be quite elevating. So we're trying to use some of those trumpets, heavy drums. Did you hear the cymbals over there? There are actually cymbals over there being applied. I'm gonna amuse you with how I actually collected all these clips. All right, we're reaching the end. You witnessed. Again, the point here is that you did not succeed. You did not succeed. You tried, you failed, you tried, you failed, until your final breath. You tried and failed, and you look around you and you're like, it didn't make a change, it didn't make an impact. What was the point? But the crux is that it's not about you succeeded or failed, because that might not be in your hands. The point is, did you try? And in this case, you did. You lay with the dust on the ground. You lay with the dust on the ground. Restless light on its final line, and the beacon soars through. Perhaps what I can do is just add the lyrics to the actual video itself. The place where the heroes reside. A place where the heroes reside. Yep. And it ends with the piano. Anyways, so that was the context of the video. Take it for what it is, but it is titled Heroes Reside. And so how it basically started was a sound that I did have in my mind for the longest time. Put it on piano. That's what I did. I had created notes, and then ultimately the lyrics that came with it. And then what I had to do was then go to an actual studio, which was located locally. Of course, they're going to charge per hour, but gave them the notes. And in this case, it was actually pretty easy because I just emailed them the notes and maybe some voice notes. Explaining what sort of instruments I'm looking for and so on and so forth. And when that guy reverted back with his ideas, or I had to actually meet with him once or twice just to explain to him, hey, this is the sort of sound I'm looking for, the type of instruments I want. And then he went ahead and sort of made the whole composed added the details. Right, and then there were lots of back and forth a little bit about, hey, I want the heavier drum over there, I want the cymbal over there, and then change this to that because he's only going to be able to do what it's in his mind, but what you're trying to do is capture what's in your mind. So to do that, you'd have to actually sit, and at least for me, excuse me, it was not that much time. It was not like it was extremely like I had to take up too much time to do that. But once I thought it was good and in a good place, then it was like, okay, do I want to record my voice there or not? There were some pitches here, some high notes here, which I was like, I'm not sure if I can actually do that. But it sort of worked fine. And then I went ahead and recorded. Interesting, you'll be fascinated to learn that I actually was quite amazed that I was able to record in like the first go, and then I came back for just a few corrections there, but like 95% of the song I was able to record in that first go, so that actually turned out to be really good. And then of course he would make the edits after that. Even if anything that took more time, it was the post-production, because I would go back and say, hey, no, I want to make adjustments here and there, and that's how it was done. The video, I'll just let you know, all these images where I just pulled them out from YouTube, some Google. The moving stuff here, let me just mute this. The moving stuff is all just GIF images. All right. So the good thing with GIF images or GIF, whatever you want to call them, is that they've got some like 2-3 second animation. All right. But the resolutions are fairly decent. So on a laptop, on a phone, it actually looks high res, even though it's a little bit pixelated. And these pictures were actually motivated by the lyrics. So you dive the depths of the dark, you can see something, falling down the sky like that. This would actually sort of resonate calmness and depth and grandeur in many cases. So I'm showing like huge like storm clouds and huge like waves, huge lightning, all trying to show the grandeur nature of the song. The characters, of course, they're like, anime stuff and all that. They're out there because their expressions are reflecting some aspect of the song. Guess what? Zelda. Right? But there's a reason, because so if I go back here for a second, against the wall with a beaten soul, right? So you can see the intense nature in which he's like holding the shield, because clearly there's some sort of strong power that's attacking him. And then of course this is showing the landscape, the challenge of the landscape, and that it's not easy. This is where somebody's taking a lot of hits but still standing up again. A dragon in the clouds, but it's actually your will inside. So you see, all those elements are sort of considered. What I was trying to pull in all those elements to really try to communicate or visualize the lyrics of the song. But there's some elements. So for example, this one, If I can I'm gonna go on mute here for a second, so just bear with me over here. So you're gonna have an elevated moment where the instruments just go up here. There's still lots of elevation here. I can tell you this much for sure, that if you're ever going out on a drive, a long drive, and you're listening to this song, it's going to give you a little bit of goosebumps. I can tell you, give it a shot. You will feel that there is an intensity to it. There is an emotion associated to that particular piece. So I at least think you'll enjoy it. You may or may not. Of course, that it's all to the ears of the beholder. But I think that portion at least will give you a lot of great, impactful moments. And of course, at this point, we're at the third act of the song, and it's all basically communicating the effort that went into it, and ultimately the failure. Is that something wrong? No, because the idea was not the success of the failure. The idea was, did you put in the effort? Did you put in the maximum effort that you could? And ultimately, the result depends on how much effort you put, and even that might not be enough, and that's okay. The point here is just keep going, keep fighting, keep going, even in the face of failure. Keep going, keep going until you're spent, and then you'll be able to find your peace in whatever form or nature it is. Because in my opinion, at least, that's where a place where the heroes reside. That's the end objective, and that's how the song basically ends. So anyways, just thought I'd share a little bit of the context and the background working that went into that song and how it was structured. It's interesting stuff. Creating a song itself is not necessarily a very easy thing, but it can be. It's doable, right? Real key is how impactful it is, what was the meaning. But I didn't. It's not like I did that for a lot of hits. People want to listen to it, that's fine. If they don't want to listen to it, that's okay as well. I'm all right either way. I had something to communicate. In fact, by the time I was done, I had released 3 of them. Right, so we have Heroes Reside, which is what you're seeing. It's not the end, and then A Fire Will Burn. So that turned into a trilogy, so to say, of that album. And I actually do have a record of that album somewhere. I'm going to show that to you next time, because it's starting to get a little dark over here. I've not turned on the lights, but I will pull out the album. It's actually a vinyl, so I did turn into a vinyl, and that was my way of sort of really just preserving that media in a hardware that was not digital. The sound, of course, and even in a vinyl, the sound can be really good. But no, what did I? No, the sound on a vinyl can be really, really crisp and clear. You'd be amazed at how good a song or audio sounds in a vinyl. Okay, but whenever you do have the time, go check out the song, and let me know if you got the sentiment or the depth that I'm trying to achieve. And I would be interested in learning what it meant to you. It could mean nothing, and that's fine. Then don't bother giving me a comment, because what does it matter then? But if it does, if there's something that resonates, if it speaks to you and you're like, oh, hold on a second, this is making sense to me, then do just throw it in comments. If it's not, I think you should be able to put in some comments. I'll check again, but I think you might be able to add some commentary to that. In fact, I'll just, by the time I'm done with this video, I'll just make sure that is on, so that you can, in fact, add some commentary, all that, because I'm quite sure that in some form or the other, to maybe everyone, if not, those lyrics will resonate and it would make sense. So give it a shot. All right, Heroes Reside. It would be on my channel. I'm gonna turn on the comments, guys. Be nice with me. Come on, I'm not here trying to be the next million hit guy or whatever. It's really just about putting something down in the form of a media and just uploading it so that people can see it, understand it. If they don't understand it, cool, whatever. If they like it, yeah, super great. And then it's that's what it's really all about. But so anyways, it was a very fun process. I've got two more after this that I can review it. We'll do that live. I like these live sessions more because then I don't have to format. If I'm making verbal errors, I can just go ahead and correct it right there. That's fine with me. But it just makes my life easier as well. And plus, I think that's probably a really good way to have live engagements and taking comments right there and then. Because, I know a lot of people out there, what they do is they put up a post and then they'll go through all those comments and then they're like, yep, we went and we sort of read all those comments, we responded. That's all cool. I don't know if I would be able to put in that much time. So I'd rather just do it live, comment or no, that's fine. But at least then we know what that sounds like. This is, like I said, it's one of my favorite parts. So this is at minutes 220. I think the music and the visuals really do well in this area. But yeah, so I'm just gonna go ahead and turn on the commentary on this, and then let's see what we think about, guys. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. I'm gonna be hitting my half-hour mark now, so we'll all catch you next time. I will log in, go live most likely tomorrow, and do another. This time I want to actually pull out some of the graphic novels that I have over there, and I'll just go through some recommendations and some art and what I think. I think some of you will really like that because comic books is part of my interest, and then maybe I've got another box of non-reviewed comic books in there, so I'll review those as well. And then what we can do is afterwards we can go through some of the individual storylines, because there are in fact a lot of very nice storylines out there that are really worth it. Some not as much, but I just like to share that information. This is not like a review, but it's more like, hey, look, if you're going to be spending $3, $4, $5 per issue, and if it's like 10 issues, that's $50 right there, right? Now think about it, $50, you can do a lot with $50 in a month, right? That's almost like a $7, $8 is the worth of a monthly subscription, right, for a streaming service, right? So you might want to have that. So why are you putting it on a comic book that was not as fun? So anyways, that's what I did, guys. That's it. Thank you so much. I will catch you next time, and we will connect again. Thank you so much. Bye bye.